started. I'm sharing my screen for those of you that are on online. So right now you're just seeing the pause button, but we should be shown in that conference room. I have the camera on. So first I'll introduce myself. Let me know if you can't hear anything like that. Jump in as we're starting this meeting. Let's see. And so my name is Teresa Davenport, and I'm new here, and you'll see at the top of the agenda, so I have a couple copies here for you guys here.
Thank you.
I am new to USBE. I was actually hired as program evaluator for the DIG grant, the Special Education Personal Development Grant, MTSS. And then, so I've only been working here since the end of August. And then Melissa is moving to California, San Diego, which is the best place, I think, to move to. And she's in the process of selling her house, so she hasn't left yet. But I have background in early childhood special education, so I am transitioning to her role, and which is awesome. I hope her house sells quickly for her sake, but for my sake and the rest of our sake, it's been nice just to follow her around and learn everything that she does. So a little background, I moved here from Seattle, Washington, where in Washington State, the setup, the education system's a little bit different. So we have there was a state office of education, and then 9 ESDs, educational service districts, regional centers basically, that reported to the state and supported districts. And I was a special ed director in one of the ESDs. So if you know the area, Seattle, Tacoma, so 35 school districts there. Charter schools were brand new, so about 10 charter schools throughout statewide supported that. So in my background there was all special education, but more focused on early childhood special ed was my area. And same column, Preschool Roundtable here. I ran once a month. We had a early childhood special ed coordinators meeting. So very similar, some of the things we're doing between the two states. So I'm stepping into this role, and I'm really excited to do so. Well, I'm also working on the other. So welcome. We have a couple other people joining us.
You're wondering. You're downstairs.
Oh, I know. It's confusing.
Sorry.
And we shut the door because it was kind of loud here. There's some agendas. So just give a little background of why I'm here. Oh, and why Melissa isn't here. That's a good thing for today. She's sick. She was here in the morning and just went home sick. She wasn't feeling really bad cold. So I told her that would be fine. So like I said, I'm Teresa Davenport, new here, transitioning into the role, working with Melissa as she's working on selling her house and moving to California. Wonderful, beautiful place there. So let's go around, if you don't mind introducing yourselves to me, kind of background, district, any information you want to share that would be helpful as I step into this role, anything you want to share. We'll start at the table here, and then we'll go with everyone that's connecting online with us. So we'll start right over here.
Great. So I'm Nanette Barnes. I'm the Director of Preschool Services in Granite District.
Great.
So,
I said
yes,
on
we've
emails.
been, I know, we've been back and forth, exactly.
So now I have
So,
things.
yes, exactly.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
I'm Emily Ribko. I am the Assistant Director at Granite Preschool.
Yes, and you came and presented.
Yes.
Our group did
Yeah.
great job on the indicators.
Thanks.
And my name is Ellen Bailey, and I work here at Utah State Board of Education, and I am the literacy specialist in the special education department. And just am curious what you guys are doing, and thought I'd just stop in and introduce myself.
Great. Introduce myself.
I'm Shelley Kiefer, and I work for Murray School District, and I'm the preschool special ed coordinator. Yeah.
I'm Jeremy Barker from Provo School District, the preschool director. I'm also the administrator for the severe units in Provo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure same as in Washington, you wear a lot of different hats in what you're doing in your district. So that was always interesting that other districts, I put together a survey back then to see what everyone else was doing, what their hats were. It was really interesting. Mm-hmm. So now let's go online. The first one I have is call in. I think that's Jennifer. Jennifer, do you want to introduce yourself?
Jennifer?
She was on, but she's on the phone. So let's go on, Greg. I see that you're joining us.
Wonder if it's our sound.
It was working with one lady earlier.
It was working. Can you guys hear me out there? So we have Greg, Kim, and Terry from what I'm looking online through WebEx.
This is Jerry calling Jerry Studio. We can hear you fine. Everyone just use their microphones to speak.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. So, Greg, if you'll unmute your microphone and talk with us. If that's not possible, you can put it in the chat. Or Kim, you just unmuted. Feel free to go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me? This is Kim.
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. Thanks.
Okay.
Hi.
So go ahead, introduce yourself.
Okay. Sorry.
Everyone else knows you, I'm sure, but.
Well, I am Kim Barfus. I am the preschool coordinator for Logan School District on their special ed side of things. So, been here for a few years now.
Oh, great. Great. I think we're coming up to see you, too.
Yes, on Tuesday. We're excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get out. And Terry, if you'll unmute and introduce yourself. Okay, we'll continue on. There might be technical difficulties, you never know what's going on in here. I am going to share my screen with the agenda. And you should be able to see the agenda playing right now. Okay, so this is our agenda. We can add information at the end of this, jump in if there's something you want to cover, and then also be thinking what you want to discuss in future preschool roundtables. So I'll go over a few things. And so the first paragraph is basically what I said, is that Melissa's leaving, so sad, and I'm transitioning to her role here. So UPODs. UPIPS is running, so hopefully you guys are using that. You got the message. It was down at the beginning of the year, which is probably the worst time to be down as you're collecting data. So it's up, and we'll be using it until the end of June, and then we're transitioning to a new system. So we'll share out more information as we know more about that system. And UTREX is the replacement system. But as you see here in Melissa's notes, there's no timeline in place on when that will happen. So with the UPODs data, continue to put it in this year, but maybe talk with your teachers about also the beginning of next year to be prepared as we're rolling this out. It might be something that has to be paper pencil at first, which you probably did at the beginning of this year. So that's what we said, keep a paper method for backup, just in case it's not. But all student data needs to be entered into UPODs for reporting purposes. So if you had staff, teachers collect data in the paper way, paper pencil, make sure they input it in now, because it's up and running. We pull the data to report to OSEP on one of the indicators. So, doing that. Any questions on UPODs or comments about that? Our other system, Teddy. So we've been trying to clean up Teddy a little bit. Melissa might have contacted you about some students that weren't assigned to an LEA and trying to figure out where students are, where families are. So if a family moves out of state or your programs, click the family moved box and keep them assigned to your LEA. There was that box where you could say the family moved and assigned to a different LEA, kind of move them out. But we want to keep them within your LEA.
That's like the unable to complete box. Click that and reason
family moved. We want to keep them. We're going to be moving that no assigned LEA option out of the TEDdy system, because really students should be in an LEA, doesn't necessarily they'll receive services or affect the data or any information that you have, but we want to keep them. So of the children with no assigned LEA option, it wasn't intended for students that were moving to use that, so it's kind of going away. We weren't exactly sure why it was there, but when the system was set up. So keep them in your LEA and just a family moved. Updates are coming. The system's 10 years old. So if you have updates that would be helpful, send them to Melissa or myself. Yeah, so we'd like something to make it user information that will help with transition. And the last bullet here, Lisa Davenport, we both have the same last name, it's really interesting. And sounds similar, Lisa and Teresa. Yeah. But she's the Baby Watch program manager, as you know. So she'll attend our December meeting. So what would you like to address? What questions do you have? You can email those to us, but you can also just let me know right now. I can take notes. Or if there are topics you'd like her to cover in December.
We have a data manager who kind of manages most of that stuff, so we'll check in with him and find out if there are specific things that are or are not working well that he'd like to see kind of that would make it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have a transition coordinator, if you have anything that's between that C and B, anything you need work on, support with. Anything online, those of you that are online that would like to chime in?
This is Linda Chadburn in Alpine District.
Oh, hi, Linda. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. I would just like to have her talk about like the timing of using the Battelle between early intervention and the preschools, if we're both using the Battelle, and how we can make that more seamless, like what the recommendations are. Because right now it's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the specifics between how do we share information, what is the timeline for that, what can we use from between programs, what can we not, what permissions do we need to do that, because we don't want to be doing extra work. So just maybe helping us coordinate that better between preschool and early intervention.
Yeah, that was a big point that I was thinking of too with the Battelle.
It would be nice if they do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prior
And then
to entering preschool.
And
That would
preschool,
help more.
within a close enough timeline that the data is accurate that can be used for transition.
Exactly.
Yeah. Try to coordinate that. That's a great point. Other thoughts? Hi. Good. Come on in. So we are just on here talking about TEDdy, and Lisa Davenport's the Baby Watch manager is coming to December meeting if there's any topics you want to make sure she covered. We talked about the Battelle, using the Battelle, trying to coordinate that and use it with transition. Other thoughts?
What about the deaf and hard of hearing and the blind? Do you like the 6 month prior?
For the testing,
Yeah,
it helps,
yeah.
definitely.
And with the PIP, having some of that information, the audiogram, all of that, that's also helpful.
Yeah, the PIP also does other language assessments. I'm not sure what the blind school does, but I'm sure they do vision assessments as well. So they have all that through them.
Yeah. Great. And we met before, like here.
Jennifer's house.
Yeah, Teresa Davenport.
Oh, okay.
I worked there. So Melissa is sick, and for those of you that just joining us too, Melissa went home sick today. Really bad cold. She's been fighting for almost a week, I would say.
Yes.
And so she's still here, which is exciting. for us, maybe not for her. She wants
Like,
to
I'm
be in
okay.
California, get her, so she's working on selling her house. But while she's here, I'm transitioning to her role, and so I'm able to learn from her. It's been great. So send us, as your talk with teams, send us information that you would like Lisa Davenport to cover in our December meeting, and we'll send her a list so she's prepared with that. Anything could be related, like we talked about the Battelle or any of the other transition topics, issues that come up with your coordinators. Okay, the PEEP. Next item is the preschool entry-exit profile update. So, as you know, we have the KEEP, the kindergarten entry-exit profile. So we had to develop preschool, and it's called PEEP because it has to match KEEP. But anyway, we've been working on it with our assessment teams here, and trying out taking some of the items out to preschool and just seeing how it's going with that. So it'll be finalized in January and ready for administration next year. But it's required for programs accessing legislative funding, and they're required to do a preschool entry and exit, the PEEP. But anyone else can have access to it. With the new PEEP, then we're looking at seeing how that relates to the DOT, because we have, I'm sure most school districts are using the DOT. You're not? Okay. So it'll be
CBAs, but the PEEP feeds right into our CBAs, so.
so it does? Okay.
And
Okay,
the
good.
EPS, we use the EPS too, that's ours.
Oh, that's yours, the
Yeah,
EPS?
ours,
Okay. So yeah, like the third bullet, we're creating a crosswalk between all these assessment tools. And
just for clarification, Teresa, the EPS isn't actually it's not a evaluation tool, it's actually a scope and sequence of the skills, so.
okay,
Just a clarification there.
sure, I'll do that. Okay. And alternate assessment is in draft. So for the PEEP, so we're first working on finalizing the PEEP and then taking the alternate with that, similar to what was done with the KEEP.
Will we be able to look at PEEP?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
When will that?
well, it will be finalized January. We want to bring it probably to one of our January meetings and hopefully some ideas for alternate, but we want to bring it to this group to look through and give ideas with that too. And also to test some of the items out, just go out with students and see how they're responding to some of the questions and set up. So we really want to use this group to help us with that. So.
You know how long it's going to take to administer the PEEP?
We did some trials with typically developing preschoolers, and I think they said it was between like 15 to 30 minutes, depending on, if I'm remembering, maybe average 20.
And so is it as young as 3?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mostly for 4-year-olds, I believe.
Okay.
I can't remember if we were going to do it for 3s.
Yeah, no, I think it was 4.
It's just the one.
Because I'm thinking of the skills.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's the pre-kindergarten, so it's just the 4-year-old one right now that
Okay.
that I've
For
seen
the
that they've
PEEP.
worked on so far.
Okay, so it's not for the 3.
Yeah.
Are they going to do anything?
I don't know, because we talked about this. We'll get more information about this. But we talked about also giving it to 3s, but a lot of the skills, as I'm processing in my head, are more 4, 5.
It's definitely been, when you're looking at the early childhood core standards, it's definitely to the pre-kindergarten level.
Yeah.
It's not as much on that 3 level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, we'll be definitely sending out, and we can also send things out, email, and share that with you to get your feedback. It's something we're working on, and it's not final, so not there right now. They'll be in a similar format if you're familiar with the KEEP, a similar type of format with the teacher, basically the administrator type manual and the student manual. Any other questions or information, comments around the PEEP? And for those of you that are online with us?
This is Linda again. I went to the meeting a couple of weeks ago where they reviewed it and had some input from districts. And I really still have quite a few concerns about the developmental appropriateness of several items in particular. And we gave that feedback at the meeting, but I just want to make sure that from your office, from that area, that we really look at the developmental appropriateness of it and make sure that we're mindful of that. Because
Yes.
while I understand why they want to ask some of the questions that they're asking, things like knowing all of the sounds of the letters, the sounds that the letters make on their way into preschool. I know they want to measure that on the way out, but it just feels so inappropriate to me. So,
Well, and there were areas we felt were missing too. Some of the oral language type skills, not as much information. Questions around that, I guess you would say, more similar to the KEEP when I was reviewing it, where it was more, like you're saying, letter sound based, but there's a lot of other skills that, like you're saying, are developmentally appropriate. Yeah, so we're attending those meetings, and that feedback was discussed when the teachers came together, early childhood teachers. So we'll keep you updated. Thanks, Linda. Any other comments? No? Okay. And it's something that's not required to give only if you're receiving legislative funding. I'll just put that there. You guys are, so, oh, okay. Granite said they were.
Yeah, Granite will be doing it. We don't have an option. Because we're not giving back that legislative funding.
Yeah. Okay, so at USing, for the meeting with special ed directors, Kelly Garcia from Department of Health Medicaid program will be attending, and she's going to talk about Medicaid, as well as other questions. So I know from talking to Melissa, there is a lot of questions and concerns around Medicaid. So the way to send your questions is email your questions to your special ed director, who will then pass it on to Leah no later than the 22nd. So then Kelly will have time to prepare for the meeting, and then we'll have a report back. And at our next preschool roundtable, we'll report back to this group as well. On the questions. Okay. We had a question from Murray.
Yeah.
So you see on the agenda here, you're revising your evaluation process. And so,
Because we're getting
Go
lots
ahead.
of calls and stuff like that. So we're thinking of, rather than doing the evaluation right away, are there already packets of information that we can send to the parents so that they can return it back to see if it warrants an evaluation? So that's kind of what we're asking. Do you guys have any paperwork that you guys have parents fill out?
Do you do
prior?
like an intake, like an interview
Yeah, on the
intake with
phone.
them? So you
Yeah.
do that? So that's usually helpful. We have a pretty lengthy intake.
You do?
That
Do you,
we do.
do you send it to them or?
We do it all via phone
on
or
the phone?
in person.
So if you could email me that would be great.
I shared Provo was the one that we used last meeting. It was sent with the notes. That's the one that we use. We actually just give it to the parent, or they
Yeah.
fill it out there with us.
Okay, so if you can send it to us, that'd be great.
yeah, if you
Or
want to send it to
yeah.
Melissa or myself, we can send it out
That'd be
with what you're
great.
doing too.
But are any of you using the ages and stages? No.
No. What about online? Those of you that are joining online, anything you're using to support here, feel free to jump in.
we did ages and stages in the past.
And which district? Is that Linda?
This is Linda again from Alpine.
Okay, I thought it was you. Okay, Alpine, Linda Alpine. And say that again.
So
Use ages and stages.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we tried to do a screening process rather than doing the full assessment right off the bat. And we would do the Patel screener and ages and stages. And they would fill out the ages and stages before they came, and then we would do, or not Patel, the Brigance screener. And we found that it took so much more of our time to process all of that rather than just to do our intake process and try to go through it more on the phone and at intake and then just do whatever assessments were needed. It just seemed to be more time consuming. We thought it would save us time, but it really didn't.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, that's helpful. That's what you were wanting, how helpful that is in screening data.
So just bring them in and do the evaluation, pretty much.
Is that what?
Yeah.
I mean, unless we have a
Really.
really strong leg to stand on, most
Right.
of our parent off the streets.
Really,
We're-
just say,
yeah.
bring them in, okay.
Yeah.
Occasionally, during our conversations on the phone, a parent will come back with, I'm not that worried anymore, or the person who's doing the interview may kind of see that really it may just be a lack of ever having an opportunity, those kinds of things. So occasionally they might come to the conclusion that they're going to help that child get registered for preschool, and then we kind of keep an eye on them after they get started. But I would say that's pretty rare.
Because it seems like that's kind of what we're doing
Yeah.
too. We
Yeah.
do the phone interview and then we typically, come up with that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I just thought maybe, something else would be better
Yeah.
out there. But it
Yeah.
sounds like everybody's doing what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me come.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, anything else online or our group online that you'd like to share around this topic? It might be good, Melissa and I were talking about just sometime doing a survey and getting information what every district's doing for assessment or curriculum.
I think
information like that.
she finished
But she just
something like that. She
Okay.
did something like that.
Yeah, it might be helpful just to know what everyone's doing. Hey, any other questions on that topics? We'll move on to this group folder. I'm hopeful this will work. This is what I did in Washington State. So we'll see if it works here, because I did the free version here. So there, we paid for this. So if you're familiar with Schoology, I'll pull it up, I'll share my screen and try to pull it up here. See if this is gonna work. But yeah, you guys can see it. Okay, it's Schoology.com, and created this group in Washington. We used this for our preschool coordinators, and you see this front page here is basically like Facebook newsfeed. So you could, this was used a lot by the early childhood special ed coordinators in Washington, because they're the only ones, many times, the only one in the district or school that does early childhood. And you have questions like, what are you doing for child find? What are you doing for extended day was a big topic for students with autism type of thing in Washington State. So you could post a question here. So I'm just going to say, welcome to the group. So, and I just post it, and it's like Facebook, and it just says, I just said, welcome to, well, I should put my own picture there, but you can put your picture with your profile so you have a picture. And then if someone wanted to comment, you could click here and then just comment. Hi. I'm just going to comment on my own comment. So write a comment, hi. So then it should post. I'm not sure. But it doesn't matter. Maybe I can't comment on my own comments.
As much as you want to do.
Yeah, maybe. But so you can post questions and look and see. Another thing that this has is over here, resources, on this menu on the left. This is super helpful. So you can add resources. So what we did is each meeting, coordinators meeting, such as the roundtable, have a folder with all the handouts and information. But then we also created folders for like add a folder. So one that was big was like C to B transition. C to B. And the districts using like here, we have C to B transition. It's just created, and you can throw resources in here. Or kindergarten transition was a big one too. What are districts doing for kindergarten transition? and then just putting materials in here. And then you can go and look at the resources. So there was a comment, Melissa said, that where can we put all these materials in? So how you join the group is you have to sign, if you're not already in Schoology, you sign up for Schoology as a student because you're going to join a group, and then it will ask for an access code. And this is the access code. You won't see this on your screen because the access code when you sign up, but I have it. And it's also on the agenda. Let's make sure it's right. It's F368D-DJFGD. So right here on there, and it will ask for access code when you sign up. Oh, Jeremy, thank you for responding. And Emily, thank you for responding. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to like your comments. Yeah. Whoa, and you get a little smiley face there. So you have right now you can upload a picture to your profile if you'd like to do that. And then sometimes the notifications, if you're someone that you'll probably get an email that these people said hi or whatever. If you want to get those on a daily summary, you can adjust your notifications. If you get someone who emails a day, you're like, I can't have all these. Just remember to check it once a week. You can say no notifications, no email notifications, and just check the page once in a while, or you can set it up of what you want notifications for. So, and it's working good. This is the free version. So I think it'll work because we were just starting with one group here. So so you can set up your notifications. The discussions are just like, you can just add a discussion. We found that the update page, like the newsfeed page, was the most helpful to post questions. Like, what are you doing with this? And how do you do this? And that's been the most helpful. And resources, feel free, you can make folders too. I'll double check that you can, because I think before I had to make sure all the members had access to be able to add resources. So I'll double check to make sure everyone here, as you're signing up, to make sure you have the right access level. Should be everyone. And then we can just post information in there. Any questions on that or comments?
Thank you. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, and we found it really helpful just to have the materials there, but then when you're on the fly to ask. And we'll update the early childhood special ed coordinators phone list and email list too, and post it here too, so that we have it in the resources, so if you need to contact other districts. You probably have something similar, but I know there's changes around the state. Yeah, exactly. Great. Yeah. Anything else related to Schoology? I think it's a great little resource to use. And I see we have 6 members. Thanks for signing up. We have Emily, Terry, Nanette, Kim, and Jeremy. Thanks for signing up. And feel free to use it. If it's stopped, email me if you have any difficulties or if it's not working, because I've never used the free version, but so far it looks like it's working. Let me know if something comes up. Okay, let's go back to the agenda here. Future meeting dates. So our next meeting, Monday, December 17th. This is, we've had questions from special ed directors and coaches about Indicator 7, which UPODs. So we are inviting special education directors to attend to help them better understand. You can invite them to this meeting. We'll have some of the coaches that are working with your districts also attend, and just to better understand how we're thinking of doing this as a short, very similar to what we did with the roundtable. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
Whatever that was called, we did with some special ed directors. Very similar. We'll run through what Indicator 7 is and materials from the ECTA Center. Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center has some great resources on there. And what I've always called it is the COAS, the Child Outcome Summary, but most people in the state call it UPODs. So if you're looking for more resources, the COAS, Child Outcome Summary. But we'll go through that information, but then we also want to have some sharing. Some districts are concerned about how are you training staff to make sure you're getting the right information recorded with fidelity? What are you doing? How are you sharing the information, gathering information? So it'll be one of those activities of sharing. Would you mind? Sure. Yeah. Hi.
Thank you.
Yes. So Monday, December 17th, so UPOD post data analysis. And what we're hoping for with this group is that you'll bring ideas also and questions you have to share, to ask districts, and kind of do a sharing discussion, facilitated discussion on UPODs or COAS. And then we have January 28th, and then February, and you'll see where we are. We're room-wise, because I know we move around the building. So the next 3 meetings are in basement west, which is the big room downstairs, easier to find. And then we have this room again. And administration, that's in this building too. I think it's on the administration side, I'm not really sure. I'm so new, but we'll be sure to tell you as we're going through. So now, topics that you'd like to ask the group here with the group, share questions, topics, we'll move to that. And if you introduce, I'm so new, introduce yourself.
I'm new too.
Oh, you are?
I'm with the Jordan Child Development Center.
Okay, tell me your name again.
Jill.
Jill, nice to meet you. I'm Teresa Davenport.
Nice to meet you.
Transitioning into the role with Melissa.
I was gonna, so you're gonna
Melissa's
be the
role.
new Melissa?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So
Okay, great.
she's still here, and which is wonderful for us, like
Right,
I've
right.
said many times, but she's waiting for her house to sell, so if you know anyone looking for a house.
I'm surprised it's taking so long.
I know,
They
really.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. I know.
Yeah.
And you're Teresa, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Teresa Davenport, and you'll see that
That's
on there.
right. Okay.
Yeah, feel free. Anyone else online would like to introduce yourself? Let me go back to this. Anyone? Oh, we have a bunch more joining us. And this looks really weird, so I'm going to stop sharing because it gets really weird.
Many layers.
Many layers. Well, let me resume so you guys aren't looking at that weird thing, and just put it on here and then stop sharing it. Okay, pause, and then I can look at everyone that's here. Okay, that's a little better than looking at the thing. So I'm just going to go down the list here of you guys online. You'll just introduce yourself, what district, it will be helpful for me. So Chelsea, and you'll have to unmute your mic.
Yeah, this is Chelsea Beck from North Sanpete School District.
Oh, great. Nice to meet you. Greg? And you might have technical difficulties, that's fine too. Oh, it looks like I might have a chat here. Okay, great comments from early in our discussion, Terry. I'm just pulling up the chat about NEYC and DEC. Talk about assessment of young children. Okay. Heather. It looks like you are unmuted, but I'm not hearing you. Oh, now it's muted again. Try that again. Yeah, try unmuting. Right now you're muted, it looks like. Yeah, might have technical difficulties. We'll move Jason. And Jason, you're muted. You'll unmute. Not sure if it's gonna. Yep. And then Kim, Linda. Linda, you chatted for a little bit here, introduced yourself. Anything else you'd like to say? Feel free to unmute.
Nope, I'm good. Just happy to be here. I'm so grateful that you got the sound fixed so that we can actually hear it remote.
Oh, good. So it
It was
wasn't
really
before.
bad last time and it's great today. Thanks.
Oh, great. That's good to know. And I think Jerry's on, and he's the one that set us all up. So thank you, Jerry. He's the one that was able to get that sound. Great. Terry. You'll have to unmute if you can. Anyone else that I missed online, feel free to jump in and say hi if you'd like to. Okay. Move on to questions for the group. Anyone jump in, have questions, comments, want to share with their group of experts here? So what I always thought of this group is that when I was in Washington State, it's like you have this room full of like the early childhood special education experts, and some people are new to this, some people have been doing this a while, and there's always a little topics that come up.
I think we covered the things that I was most interested
Oh,
in. So.
oh, good. Okay. Anyone online? And moving on to the second question, what topics would you like to talk about? So we're talking, December's pretty much planned. We have Lisa Davenport coming, and then we're talking about Indicator 7, so we'll probably use the full time, would be my guess during that, in December's meeting. Other topics you'd like discussed or more information on for upcoming meetings?
I think one of the things that we talk about a lot right now is the changes we're seeing in the social emotional needs of our preschool kids. And we're really considering ways we're going to be making adjustments in our program to better meet those needs. So I'd love to hear more, or cover a session about what kinds of things other people are doing in their preschool programs to address social skills and social emotional needs and those kinds of things.
And any sort of trauma-based, trauma-informed care.
Yeah,
That
the
was-
children we're getting are very
Yeah.
complex.
They're definitely not
They're-
your
it's
typical
not a
PD
typical
kid anymore.
Black and white,
Yeah.
like they used to be.
Yeah.
Now they're really coming with lots.
Yeah.
and
Our
lots of
psychologists did,
issues,
yeah.
like you said, trauma.
Yeah, presentations today on trauma-based care and ACEs, and we've added a part to our intake about ACEs and some of those, trauma screening questions. That's really giving our staff, our support staff, some good resources to be able to connect families with resources. And so, that's something we've been talking about, of how do we best serve not only our kids with special needs, but our general ed population too, because it's not necessarily for us just kids with special needs that are having them, but looking program-wide of what can we do to really be as proactive as we can, because, the types of kids we're getting are very, very
Complex,
challenging
yeah.
in comparison to years past. So.
Well, and also I think parent training, how and when can we find time to train those parents? And the ones that want the help are the ones that don't make themselves available or need the help, they don't make themselves available.
We've been doing a lot with mindfulness. Our psychologist has been leading some mindfulness groups for our teachers, and our teachers have been doing some mindfulness things in the classroom too. So, we've started to kind of delve into some things, but getting information from anybody else would be awesome too.
That's great.
You seeing that at
Yes.
USDB?
Well, we see, just like you guys do, and we see that you've got the parents that don't need the support, the kids are doing just great. They're the parents that always come to the trainings. The kids that need the support, the parents, the ones that don't come. And so it's the same, we're in the same boat, But yeah, we had a training by Dr. Goldsmith on the trauma, and it was really, really good. And I'd never thought about even just kids with divorce, and all these little things I've never even thought about. These kids don't see their moms all weekend, and how the trauma these kids are experiencing. It's like
So this is what Dr.
Goldsmith,
Okay.
Dr. Goldsmith, he used to be from the Children's Center.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But
And now he went private,
okay.
so he did a great job. So that was really interesting. So yeah, this is like the new buzzwords, I think. And it's good because somebody needs to these kids are coming from a whole new generation.
Yeah.
And I think parents don't spend as much time
I agree.
talking on them. I mean, they talk on their phone. Kids don't. Here, there's my phone.
Well, and a lot of them will walk in and the child is going to the parent,
Right.
Mom, Mom,
Right.
and they're on the phone or doing this. It's like, make that connection. Get out. Put that phone away.
So I think like the social emotional aspect of just how do you better help parents from a younger age, that might be really beneficial just to help parents be more aware of what their habits are and how they affect their kids.
Yeah.
So,
Other topics, feel free to jump on. Those of you that are online, feel free to jump, or in the chat box, I'm monitoring that, or email as well. That's a great comment from Heather. She said her speaker won't work. So Emery, I met you. Thanks. Mike's still getting around. Okay, from Emory School District, coordinated with the Health Department. So Emory School District coordinated with the Health Department 2 years ago, and they set up ASQ links specific to the district. So the links are included on the school district website, so parents can go directly there and complete the ASQ3 and the ASQ SE in both English and Spanish. Once they complete the screeners and hit the finalize button, it comes directly to me on my ASQ home site already scored. Oh, that's really cool. It has been a huge time saver for me. It's on the parents to get it done and provides guidance to them on where their child development is at. I check for newly submitted screeners every week and follow up with parents when I have that information. So that was Heather from Emory. Wow, that's really neat. Yeah, that is really great. What an awesome tool right there to tie that together with the ASQ, the screeners, and using the social emotional side. And feel free to jump in, anyone online, or submit chat if you're.
This is stuff. I like to hear about what are the different types of grant opportunities available.
Oh.
Not only through the state, but maybe other ones that people are aware of, and especially regarding inclusion, because we're trying to expand that in our district, and we're making really good progress with it, but we sure could use some other funding sources. And
Definitely.
We kind of find out about them late, or I hear little bits and pieces about things, but I don't have a real clear understanding of maybe what's out there.
Yeah. Can you tell me again your name and district?
It's Linda with Alpine.
Oh, it's Linda. Okay. I didn't hear it right at the first.
Sorry.
Okay.
I had a mint in my mouth.
I know. I wish we had some chocolate or candy.
Yeah, no way am I coming up there if you don't have chocolate and candy. Come on.
I'll bring some next.
Well, we'll donate all our old Halloween candy.
You.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, and with inclusion and some of the high quality grant going away after this year of using that for the early childhood for inclusion, that's a hot topic to be discussing right now. Where else to find some funding sources? So thanks. That's a good one. Other ideas, topics. Well, and feel free to email Melissa and I topics for, as things come up. We have meetings, each month, looking at that. We'll also monitor the Schoology links, the Schoology and newsfeed, and see what comes up with that. I'm not sure what they call it. I call it a newsfeed. And anything else before we're done today that we need to cover? Or something I'm missing that you guys usually do at your meetings? Since this is my first meeting.
Melissa usually sings a song. So
That's good. Sing a song, yeah.
Because the last one.
Yeah, that's a good one. How funny. Yeah, that's not happening.
He's like, good thought though.
Yeah. But let us know if you need anything. We've been going out and doing building blocks training, which was exciting. We were in Paiute yesterday, so if you need any resources like that, we have the PTR, Prevent, Teach, Reinforce, coming up, so I'll be looking at those emails. And we did the book group with the preschool inclusion book, so if that's something you want to continue or another book, just let me know. Kind of how Melissa and I see this is how we can support you with your work, or how can we provide something on a regional level that you might not be able to do in your district. So let us know, email, sign up for Schoology. I'll make sure you can add the folders and see the resources. I don't know. If it's funky, let me know. And then we'll use the Schoology and add resources that you're using that might be helpful. Feel free to email. We talked about what you needed with some of the intake surveys that you have. Feel free to email those to Melissa and I, and I'll post those also in Schoology, the resources. So we'll have that there as well. Great. Okay, anything else? Any last comments before we end for today? Okay, we'll see you December 17th.
Thanks.